Good evening, peeps. This is Andrew, or One Star Peeps, and tonight I have the honor of bringing you the top 8 match of the GMI Games Adpative Prime Championship. If you've been following along since the beginning of the tournament, you might recognize these players from earlier. On our left, we have Dangle the Bar 53 and his disastrous Worlds Collide Brobnar deck, Mourningeate of the Malcontent's Chaos, going up against Charlie Nyfty and his disruptive Coda combo deck, Muñoz of the Rabid. So, if we take a look at these decks, it's quite apparent, at least straight off from the SAS numbers, that Dangle is at a huge disadvantage here in Game 1. And if we saw his earlier, I'm going to say it was round 3 on we recorded. He clearly just lost Game 1, he loses Game 1, and then he switches decks, he wins Game 2, and they go to bidding. A couple of the key things to note when that happens. There's some nice little tricks I like about his deck. First off, the punctuated equilibrium at least surprised me when I was watching these games on how it actually helps his opponent, or helps the stronger deck move through their chains quicker. So I think a lot of his strategy is get his opponent to take his deck eventually. And because they just, once they pass the point of being comfortable, they don't expect the punctuated equilibrium to pull that back down, and kind of actually pull it more to his advantage. I think he hopes a lot of people underestimate that. I think he's also put in a lot of time testing and practicing with his deck, and he really knows it inside and out. So we should see some of that coming up. Charlie's deck is awesome, and I love it. And we're into the match. Alright, so this is definitely what I like to see from Charlie's deck. Lots of control. Ember Imp, Succubus, start slowing down your opponent. Just control the game. And Dangle tries his best to actually win the game. So here's a big Untamed turnout for him. At least 3 cards were just played. 3 Untamed cards. He can hopefully get a couple more. Takes out the Ember Imp so he can play all these cards.
Am I able to, like, take time?
All he has to worry about is the Succubus, which, after drawing a bunch of extra cards, potentially disrupting Charlie's good opening hand that he tried to keep, or he kept for a reason. This might have been actually more disruptive than most that Charlie has in his deck. Let's see. Okay, so now he's got a board with 4 Untamed creatures, or sorry, 3 Untamed creatures, and
I'm gonna fear your.
Oh, okay, so yeah, Dangle overdrew on the punctuated equilibrium because you're supposed to refill your hand size, and the Succubus is out. So he drew to 6 because he's probably not used to punctuated equilibrium into a Succubus that's on the board. So Charlie here decides to return a creature decides to return that card back to Daniel's deck, shuffle it away, and Daniel's going to continue on from here. Alright, so Charlie goes into this a second time, deploys a second Succubus and a Tentacus, and fears one of the Tantangolins back to Daniel's hand, and controls the weak Dangle into Brobnar. This is basically the only house that, or actually he just saw Dangle's hand, so he knows it's stacked full of Brobnar. He did return one of the creatures back. 100%. But part of the trick here is he just wants to protect the Succubus and really minimize the value that Dangle is going to get here. So it prevents Dangle from drawing 2 cards here. Not bad. He doesn't have a lot of. There we go. I was about to say he doesn't have a lot of ways to protect his Succubus, but this Shadow Self is doing good work in that regard. Interesting choice here to sacrifice his Tantangolin to deal 3 damage to 2 different creatures. I guess keeping 2 Succubus sounds good. I really like having one big disc creature out on the board to help fight and protect my valuable disruptive cards. But having 2 out sounds good to me. Alright, so Dangle deploys double Harbinger of the Doom and fights one of the Succubus. Takes 3 damage. Makes see how Charlie likes it when he has to lose cards out of his hand. Unfortunately, it was one of his key combo cards, Chota. So he's gonna actually have to play a little bit more of a fair game at this point. He needs to get the Sting sooner rather than later. Although I guess with the quality of Daniel's deck, this match doesn't matter too much. so he goes back in the shadows, reaps to steal 1 and gain 1. Relentless Whispers the Cow Fiend to gain 1, steal 1. And that seems like the end of his turn. Please play 2 cards.
That one takes it.
Actually, has 2 discard piles, but that's fine.
Do I forge?
So Daniel can't attack with those Harbingers, but he's going to just probably reap with them this turn.
6, 7.
Alright, use Lilithal to fight into Shadow Self, and captures 1. Use Dendrix to fight Shadow Self to make Charlie discard the second card. And this time he gets a Tolas.
I'll call a house. Untamed.
And then he finishes off the last Succubus with both of the Harbingers of Doom. Both of them lose all their armor, but it's not a big deal. So, and passes it back to Charlie. Charlie forges for 7 here, thanks to the Mystic Marmuk. First key of the board, and if I were Charlie here, I would be trying to find a way to destroy those Harbingers. If you can just find a way to pop 1 of them, then you're going to take care of this problem board. Daniel's actually in a really good spot right now. While being able to get rid of the Succubus there seems like a good play, he's really opened himself up to be blown out by his own cards. Charlie is working on building up his own board here. He plays a regular Marmuk, so Daniel's keys now cost 8. The Fuzzy Gruen, so Charlie's going to continue building up Amber, trying to push this lead, this Amber lead that he has. It's not necessarily a board lead. Devin can just reap for 4 every turn, and that might be enough to close it out. Right? So he gets a 1 Amber advantage, the Delta 1, so he's not under any pressure here. He needs to defend his Harbingers of Doom, I think, in this case. His board is too fragile right now. He's going to lose all this lead he built up. So he uses his Dendrix to trade with Fuzzy Gruen, which makes sense. Because it's the only card that could fight by itself. And there we go. Alright, so 1 Harbinger reaps, second Harbinger, or actually both Harbingers attack with Niflate, clear off the board, so protect Devin's board. Charlie plays a Tendrils of Pain, deals 1 damage to each creature. Finally, the third Succubus makes its appearance. Daniel is probably going to go Dis once again. Do this double Harbinger fight, reap with Lilithal plan. I'm not sure. That sounds pretty okay to me.
Dealing 2 damage to everything.
Charlie's reminding Daniel that the Succubus will affect him at the end of this turn if he doesn't do anything about it. Daniel goes back into Untamed.
While you're doing that,
Mab the Mad gains 1. Plays a creature, I didn't see what it was. Mystic Marmuk trades with Succubus. Now it's no longer doing any damage to Charlie's Amber Tolls. Tintantalin comes out once again. Reef with the other remaining Tintantalin. Alright, so Charlie goes in the shadows, Poison Wave, kills his Marmuk, deals 2 damage to everything. Both of the Harbingers have 2 amber or 2 damage, or 1 armor left for this turn. Dodger. Dodger Umbra Sting. Okay. Passes to Daniel. Daniel is not quite ready to forge yet, but in this, I think obviously Daniel's deck is slow enough and not strong enough really to compete fairly. So this thing should net Charlie to Amber, or at the very least, if he just goes back in the shadows, it's not a big deal for him to lose it. I can see now that the last creature for Daniel on his right flank is a Molten. So actually, that's actually pretty good against Charlie's Shadow's deck. It's interesting tech here. So Dodger fights, steals 1. Anything that fights takes 2 damage, you're going to take a 3rd damage from the Molten, and then Umbra is going to take 1, and if Umbra fights, Umbra is going to die. So this Molten, just by existing, is going to do a lot of work here against Charlie's board. Notices he accidentally has a discard pile in the wrong spot. Cool. Good.
Back to the limit with it.
Daniel is clearly practices the deck. Well, maybe not. Finding he's doing a good job here of finding all the little edges he can gain. Plays a Deepwood Druid for value. Heals a little thoughts. Stalling Amber for a couple turns. Reaps twice. It goes up to 6.
Who's playing first?
Charlie is unfazed by this. He goes just decides to go for a big bursty Untamed play here.
That and my stain to my hand.
Discard
So I'm
saves
at
the pack
check at 10.
to shuffle in Escatera and Big Twig.
Yep. And I draw.
To return and returns Lilithal and its entitlement to each to their own respective decks.
I said check, right?
Yeah.
Daniel still has the larger void presence, but he's just not generating Amber nearly as fast as Charlie's deck, and that's definitely part of what makes the deck good in Keyforge. If you don't need to reap, or if you gain value by reaping,
Never mind. I was gonna say he
but
wasn't bothered.
most of
He left.
most of Daniel's creatures don't have
Sorry, but I don't
reap,
have your cards.
reap effects, or at least significant ones. So another cool part of Charlie's deck is this play that he just made is Grasping Vines to return the Sting to his hand. So now he didn't have to go into Shadows, and he gets to forge a key on his next turn naturally.
Let's go with Brubner.
Unfortunately, he didn't get to steal the 6 amber or gain an extra 6 amber off of Daniel forging there. But what are you gonna do? He gets to replay the Sting if he wants to.
Both your Harbingers take. So here, first one.
He gets to replay the Sting if he wants to later to gain 1 amber. I think at this point he's probably just gonna discard it. I don't think you're gonna have enough time to draw enough time to play 2 more Shadows turns if you're trying to close out this game as fast as possible. A lot of I wonder if a lot of Daniel's strategy here, obviously he's playing for game 3, is trying his best to
Also house.
make Charlie's deck look
Play an Escatera
stronger
together.
than it is, or just like mess up the
And
perception.
Silver Souls and
Anyways, he plays a
Emperor
Volcano
and
here,
Pass.
deals 4 damage to each creature, kills the Hunting Witch, gives himself 2 chains, stacks some damage on these Molefins. A Narp is hanging out here.
And I'm not at check.
Now both of these Harbingers have 1 point of damage on them, and there's even more synergy that he knows about. He probably has been waiting for it to build up these things together. Cybernetic Rig gains 4 power counters
Just be careful because you played 2
on,
cards.
or sorry, 3 power counters onto the Narp because of the armor. So it's a big Narp.
Alright. Fight here. Killer.
Charlie
yeah.
plays his Escatera, gains 1, and where it comes down, Stealer Souls. Daniel is kind of in a, well, obviously in a tough spot. He's way behind on keys and Amber. Charlie is at 5 Amber currently.
I'm not gonna examine that.
So what is Daniel's real plan here? He needs Charlie to think his deck,
And that's it.
get a bad perception of how this matchup
Choose
went.
Shadows. I'll play.
He's trying to make sure Daniel doesn't forget about the Ember Imp trigger, or the Ember Imp.
This is the second
Stuff.
time for the chain.
Poison Wave.
Both of the Dodgers, or sorry, both of the
Yeah.
2 here.
And I'll play Carla.
both of the
Phantom,
Harbingers of Doom
Duskrunner,
fight,
and I'll
or one
discard
Harbinger
my
of Doom reaps, and then the second one fights
check
into
it
Dodger
six.
and dies, clears the board, allowing Daniel to deploy a couple extra creatures, an Exhume and a Spider.
Let's go with that.
What does he get back here? Most impressive creature, a Narp. Interesting. I wonder if he's sandbagging this, or he just likes having a Spider next to the Narp.
Really bad for me. That'll be what? There'll be 3.
Charlie plays Poison Wave, kills the Spider, deals 1 damage to Narp. Carla Phantom plus Duskrunner and discards the Sting.
I'll play
Makes sense. I mean, that would have been 2 Amber. That would have put him into check, and he could just
killing my own guy.
next turn go back into Shadows and pop it.
Succubus and Tentacus. Check at 6.
But that seems inefficient. Depends on what's
Alright,
in
Devin, you
Charlie's
and me.
hand.
Good for you.
Andrew versus Rob. Nothing to stop.
But Daniel has a Barn Raising and a Shorty, and this allows Daniel to fight with his Narp to make Charlie lose 1. And that's about it for Daniel's turn here. Oh, the flex. Interesting. So he opted to make Charlie lose 1, even though he wasn't on check, instead of gaining 4 Amber. Charlie goes Tendrils, deals 1 damage to each creature, kills his own Carlo Phantom, and apparently cycled through his deck, and is deploying the Succubus all over again.
So did he count again?
Goes to check, and Daniel doesn't have any Amber on board, or Amber control out of his hand, and we're going to game 2. Okay, so, wow, that was, so I think Daniel ended the game here at 4 Amber and 1 key. I think Charlie just barely squeaked to 3 keys on the dot, maybe 1 extra Amber.
Oh, it is?
It's important to keep track of.
Hit me anymore the way I used to.
I feel like, I don't know if Daniel sandbagged a couple turns there, he might have.
So you need stronger now? It's kind of like,
I think, yeah, there's a lot of, I think, I don't know, I think Daniel put a lot of effort into figuring out how to play the chain game here. And it clearly shows he's here at the top 8 with this deck. He put a lot of time and effort in thinking, at least strategy, into how to play this, how to game this adaptive tournament, showing that this is about somewhat valid. This is at least a valid strategy. And here we go, just in case we missed it last time. Here are the deck lists. Now underneath the correct player, or because they swapped. We've got.
Hopefully, it would help fix it, so we walk
Interesting.
normal and so it stop hurting.
We've got. So we talked a lot about Daniel's deck last time. Let's talk about Charlie's deck, who's now in the hands of Daniel. Obviously, triple Succubus, double Ember Imp.
1, 2, 3.
And then he's got the Grasping Vines, Choda's Sting package, Hunting Witch to gain with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So there's a lot of burst potential with the Hunting Witch there. Lost in the Woods is okay, good removal against Saurian, always happy to have it. Nothing else that's too standout for me. Control the Weak is great. Pawn Sacrifice, Poison Wave, Relentless Whispers, lots of little 1s and 2s damage. Poison Wave double save the pack is also an interesting thing that Daniel could be setting up for. If we saw how big his board was, how big Mourningeate's board gets, so having some sort of board wipe that you can build in, that you can get to, that doesn't rely on the Harbingers of Doom, I think is something important. Total Loss is also a surprising place to gain extra Amber if you can protect it, or start doing all this board wiping stuff and keep it alive. Mighty Tiger is also pretty good. Yeah. So we're going to. That's what I have to say about this matchup. We saw it work out 20 expected Amber, 13 printed Amber on Muñoz. Just play our cards, gain some Amber, reap sometimes, Hunting Witch does its thing. Choda wasn't a factor. Obviously the deck will fire and perform a lot better if you can play the Sting early and use Choda later, and you can even Lost in the Woods to Choda to get a second time. But we're gonna start game 2 now, and it is Charlie's play. He's gonna start with Punctuated Equilibrium. And he's mostly using it to gain some information about what Daniel is discarding. Wants to have an idea what he kept and what is coming up. Interesting way to try and remove threats. I really like this early turn 1, turn 2 Punctuated Equilibrium play, because most people keep a hand that, especially if your opponent did mulligans, you know their hand has things that they want to play in it, and you just get rid of that. Well, it means that you yourself might have kept a poor hand. Alright, so Daniel responds with his own Untamed turn, playing 4 Untamed cards. That was a good draw for him. And gaining 2 Amber off the Fuzzy Groon. Charlie also fortunate to draw into the Regrowth off the Punctuated Equilibrium, which was some cool synergy there. Uses Mustic Murmuk plus Cauldron Boil to kill the Groon. Interesting choice. I think I would have gone for murdering the Big Twig. In this case, it's just a little bit more of a threat. The Fuzzy Groon's already done its job, but Charlie knows his deck better than I do, so maybe there's some more synergies that I'm missing, like the Lost in the Woods. Daniel decides to reap twice. Murders the tree, and here's the Lost in the Woods. Alright, so good job, Charlie. stopping that Fuzzy Green from getting shuffled back in and allowing Dangle to burst some more. Some good foresight there. Dangle in this case stunning the tree and shuffling back in the Mystic Mermook and the Deepwood Druid. Both creatures with play effects, surprisingly. I guess he wants to forge keys as fast as he can. Just to... I guess that, yeah, that's his point at this time. He wants the first game to make it look like his deck is as terrible as possible, and the second game to make his opponent's deck look as good as possible. To really push up those chain bidding. Alright, so Charlie discards a Harbinger of Doom and some action. I'm sorry. Plays Soul Fiddle, Lilithal, and Spider. So that is a huge turn. That's 5. Well, it feels like a huge turn. That's 5 discards now. So Charlie hopefully gained a lot of value out of that. Does have 3 active permanents on board in this. Daniel responds with a Carlo Phantom that's protected by a Shadow Self with a Dusk Runner.
And just fight to get the...
Okay, so Charlie exhumes Shorty. Plays the Dinosaur's Bane. For no value. Soul Fiddle's the... Soul Fiddle's the Shadow Self, so now it can't reap the skill 1. And decides to reap with both the Lilithal and the Spider.
Fight there.
Salt kills it, I think the Spider could have fought into the Shadow Self here.
You say I played this first, or you okay with that?
And killed the... And just killed it straight up because of the poison, but might have missed that.
Now I played it.
Daniel doesn't give Charlie the chance to make that mistake a second time, and Relentless Whispers the Spider, and then fights into the Tintadolin to remove the stun, or sorry, to remove the enrage and take the minimal amount of damage. Alright, so Charlie goes into Bropnar, fights with Shorty, and kills the Shadow Self, gets rid of the Dusk Runner. Alright, let's Charlie reorder his cards by playing a Barn Raising before fighting with Shorty to make Dangle lose 1. Gengar Chieftain readies Shorty to fight again. Dangle loses the second Amber and passes the turn.
Oh yeah, 4.
Charlie's doing a good job keeping up. He looks like he's at 1 key to 1 key. And not too far off on Amber. It's up to Dangle. He still has probably a lot of good plays here coming up. Fire him, I'd be worried a little bit.
Then yes.
He's not giving Charlie any outs to dealing with this board. He definitely needs that Poison Wave combo. He's staring at the the Tolos. Plays Tendrils of Pain to deal 1 damage to each creature.
I dropped 1 less, I gotta remember that.
Oh, right, sorry. Charlie forged a key last turn, so it deals 4 damage to each creature.
I'll do the flex
no one gains any Amber here.
And I'll play Calfin and only
but it's that's good work. That's one of the two. So the Poison Wave and the Tendrils of Pain are both ways to set up damage for the Save the Pack that may or may not be coming. Charlie's board is getting smaller. Fear returns the Lilithal plus Succubus. So if Charlie wants to get the Succubus off the board, he has to go back into Brobnar here, and he just played a bunch of Brobnar cards, so it's very unlikely. He needs another way to interact positively out of hand. Alright, so he just decides to ignore the Succubus and just race, gain 2 Amber from flexing, and plays Calfine, and unfortunately ends his turn without being able to draw thanks to the Fear and the Succubus, pushing Charlie's hand to 5. Despite playing 2 cards, wasn't able to draw an extra card. Alright, so Dangle responds with Untamed. And sweet, good job there. That's a great playing into the Save the Packs, I think. Mighty Tiger, put some damage on Calfine, and that's the final creature of Charlie's that has undamaged creature. And so Save the Pack, one-sided board wipe for Dangle. He now has three untamed creatures to reap with, one of which is really good to reap with. Could start
So-
pulling ahead.
oh,
Discards the
so he can't
Chota,
do
doesn't
anything,
really need
'cause
it.
he can only fight
Or he doesn't
stun.
feel he needs it. He doesn't need to rely on the gimmicky combo. He is enough ahead on board
He can do
to
anything.
tie his turn.
He could. Oh.
Because it's
And
if
he's
it
just going to go
feels like
in full reap mode here. Just reap out.
Not finish with you.
Stuns and exhausts the Molfin.
Or Coffin, Ganger Chieftain.
Because it's
Shorty.
the least threatening creature. It's the only one that could fight into the succubus and remove it, probably. I'm not sure. There's other considerations there, but
And I will pass.
So I'm gonna
Charlie's deck, or Muñoz, does have a good number of steel.
let's go and play this.
So,
Let's go Ember Imp and gain one.
use a Soul Fiddle to enrage one of the big twigs. So the big twig, if it's going to be used next turn, it has to fight Fable. So it can fight the Molfin. It won't die. Alright, so Charlie is now into playing the Harbingers of Doom, so he can try and wipe this board,
Reap here, don't
get
worry, they're all
that
gonna
board
die,
advantage
'cause
back
I'll
in his
fight
favor
into
before
Bitwig.
Daniel just continues to reap forever. Unfortunately, he did let a Hunting Witch
Soul
live
Fiddle
in
does
this case.
nothing, and I'll
He
play
probably didn't have the
Overfall,
tools in Untamed
pass, draw
or
six.
any extra value in Untamed, and just fighting with the Tattlin definitely wasn't going to be worth it.
Did I say check?
Oh boy.
Check.
Ember Rip comes down, plus something else, plus the Succubus. So we got here. So we're reaping for 1. Charlie's hand is reduced by at least 2 cards here. Charlie can only play 2 cards.
Let's go poison.
Yeah, Charlie goes in there just pretty obviously. Reaps with Lilithal.
Let's go with Dodger.
And then uses Harbinger Doom to fight into Big Twig to clear the board. Daniel probably knew this was coming.
1, 2.
And only has to do so he wipes Daniel's board here.
Rabnar?
And unfortunately the only follow-up he really has is to play a singular Lilithal. And that's what happens with these
So he'll take 4. but then
reversal
I'll
decks.
Cyber
He
Giant Rig.
is in check, I believe.
So he'll just get 4.
So
Yeah, but he'll get 3
that
because
looks
I'm
like it's pulling him ahead of Daniel,
pass.
if I'm reading Daniel's keys correctly. Poison Wave. Good start.
Go with Untamed. Discard that. Play Nocturnal Maneuver.
Alright, and Dodger plus Bruno is enough to pull Charlie off check here.
That's it. Draw. What is it? This one?
Yeah. Right now you draw 1 more.
Alright,
Okay.
Charlie goes in the Brobnar.
I'll
Narp,
do Untamed.
Ganger Chieftain fight the Dodger. Okay.
I'll do a Mustic Murmuk, killing your old Bruno.
And then he basically pulls the same move Daniel had to give it 4 plus 1 power counters. And then he's going to end this turn, Cybernetic Rig, Cyber Giant Rig, remove the power counter from Narp.
Discard key charge because I can't get it.
Daniel goes in Untamed, save the pack. Unfortunately misses here.
Pass, check it. 7.
Exhaust, or actually, never mind. Save the pack should be killing that Lilithal there. I guess they just miss it here. Or maybe he just discarded it. He probably discarded it there. It doesn't seem worth it just to get the Lilithal. But he did slow Charlie down. You can't just reap. Except Mustic Murmuk sounds good enough to me. Increase the key cost to 7, which is going to make Charlie still in check.
And dealing 3.
Good book plus Deepwood Druid. Nice. So there's those play effects that Daniel Shuffle is generally coming back for Charlie's advantage here.
I gain 7.
Yep.
And discards the key charge. Oh, oh no, he needed the Mustic Murmuk to getting the Amber off the old Bruno. But he's still in check here.
I'll reap here.
So what can
since he
Daniel
can't
do?
Fight, or, 'cause he
Goes
can't
for this thing,
reap, but he
gets
also
to steal.
can't fight,
He has to
just
take
knocks
7
him
now
in.
because the key cost is increased, and just
Then
you
I'll
get all the
play
Amber spent on a
Silkskin.
key.
Silkskin.
Pawn sack
Sortie,
is going to
so
get rid of
he'll
Deepwood
take-
Druid and
Then I'll
deal
do
3 damage to the Mustic. Makes sense. Alright, so what does Daniel have? I think he already discarded. Oh, he did shuffle. So he has Chota. I think he has Chota and Grasping Vines live again.
Sacrifice this.
So that's that. Charlie needs to worry about this. Daniel does have enough Amber at this point to win the game. If he's only at 1 key. If he's at 2 keys already, then plays Shorty. Plays Stiltkin, plays Shorty. This ready Stiltkin, and that'll allow Stiltkin to reap.
Got Barn Rising, but you don't got any
Puts
creatures.
Fire Breath on Ganger
I'll just
Chieftain.
do
It has to fight every turn, so that sounds pretty good. Calphine comes
Rabnar,
down.
Rabiton.
Alright, this is a huge board.
Alright, now we bid.
gets to shuffle. I think that's a little bit farther than where Daniel got. Daniel immediately just goes back into shadows, discards Color Phantom, and knows that Mourningeate doesn't have a lot of good amber control. So
I'll go to 4.
Charlie needs to basically just get up to 6-7 amber here. Find a way to remove the Murmuk, I think. Might be the best bet.
Take it.
For 6.
Goes into Brobnar, reaches for a bunch, and we go to chain bid. Alright, so here we go. Chain bidding is going to happen.
Maybe.
I'm not sure where I'm going to fall on this.
I want to pick 7. Then,
I guess we had a lot of extra information. We got to see each player's hands.
So afraid of you going to 10, and then you
Daniel starts off with 3, and Charlie immediately returns with 4.
12, you would let me take it anyway. But the
A little bit of a pause there. Goes to 6. Back to Daniel to play Muñoz.
I kind of don't know how 12 truly reacts.
Muñoz.
Because the sting is the thing that helps it all out. If I can get the sting,
Alright, that's it. Just 6 is
can't get the sting.
drawing 2 less cards is too much for Charlie. He lets Daniel have it for 6.
should have gone higher, I think.
Because like, if you really
Daniel's saying, I think Daniel's saying right now that he would have gone higher here if Charlie kept pushing him, but
You're going first. So you draw to 6.
Daniel also is probably thinking ahead. He does have, if he wins this one, he has 2 more rounds, and
and like,
Charlie is there with me and several other people on our team, and Charlie, we still had Kevin on our team who was still alive for top 4 match, and he probably didn't want to, it was part of not letting information spread about the strategies to beat him. I think it's a good idea. You should definitely, as much fun it is to talk about how you're doing in the tournament, and especially here in this case, you don't want to give away too much information about where you think the line is for your deck, especially when your whole strategy is around winning game 3. You can't let that information leak. You need to get as much of an advantage here as you can, because your entire strategy is based around winning this game here. So, how good is Daniel? Is 6 chains enough? Did Charlie get the right read on it? Did Daniel get the right read? 1 card for 5 cards for 6 turns is what Charlie has, or what Daniel has to deal with. Playing the deck again that he just played. Slightly unfamiliar, but that punctuated equilibrium that Charlie has now, or that's in Mourningeate, is going to basically buy Daniel a turn, push him a turn forward. I guess part of the reason why this is such a good, one of the more things that I really like about this punctuated equilibrium in his deck is that generally your opponents are going to have non-reversal decks here. You're basically just, it doesn't matter if you discard 5 good cards, because the next five cards that you draw are just going to be still better than the next 5 cards that Charlie draws. So I think that's a really cool tech to have in your reversal adaptive deck.
If you I'll play Harbinger with Draining Touch on it.
Alright, so Daniel starts off strong with an Ember Imp.
Creature, put it in. So it is.
Kabuk plus Cauldron Boil, and that's all Charlie can do. He missed other things he could have had: Stiltkin plus Giant, Mustic Murmuk, any sort of removal here. He should have been prepared for this. He knows that the game plan is to play early Ember Imps on his deck to slow them down so he can build up these combo-ish stuff. But sometimes they both mulligan, so he probably just didn't find one. Daniel goes with a Duskrunner plus Dodger. And then nice.
Brobnar.
Sorry.
Rascal.
Charlie Draining touches his Harbinger to clear the board, which gets rid of the Ember Imp, which is like a book. With the destroy trigger, lets him play a Lilithal, and yeah, that's a good 5-6 cards. Sorry, 4 or 5.
Play this and that, and that's it. Draw 5.
A good 4 or 5 untamed cards, or 5 discards, and then Daniel responds with a Lost in the Woods, get rid of the Lilithal, plays a Hunting Witch on an empty board. Again, Charlie is digging for immediate out-of-hand answers. I know there are a couple in the deck. Rapskull plus Chieftain. Okay, that's good. There you go. Chieftain's good enough.
I won't do it.
And that way he doesn't have to spend the volcano. Don't want to give himself change and kind of put him more at parity with Daniel here. Here comes some more dis, or some more of that disruptive dis stuff. Big 5-power creature, succubus. Charlie can't go Brobnar again. He's alright. Soul Fiddle causes succubus to have to fight. Spider and interesting here. The spider is a target. Oh.
Go Untamed.
Giant Spain kills.
This with Cultivar. And I'll discard key charge.
Alright, so Daniel reminds Charlie that Soul Fiddle, you'd have to pay Daniel 1 to use the Soul Fiddle, and Daniel, or Charlie decides it's not worth it. It's very nice of Daniel. Thank you so much for that. So here we go. Back over to Daniel. Daniel's staring at this, his Untamed hand. Doesn't have the Hunting Wish that he wanted, but Nocturnal Maneuvers might do some work. I mean, obviously it's going to do some work. It's probably a big driving factor, and that's it. Gain 1 Amber, slow Charlie down, play more creatures.
Fire Breath. And I'll discard the flex.
Alright, more Cauldron Boils, more Untamed creatures.
And I'll pass.
Discards the key charge. He's really needs to build up some Amber before he can use those cards. And yeah, you know, Mourningeate is not really the best at that. Charlie's still been stuck underneath the succubus for quite a few turns here. Daniel takes his opportunity to clear the board, gets rid of the Molfin, and look at that. He just gets to deploy 2 more creatures on an empty board. He's basically been controlling the board this whole game, doing a great job. Stiltkin plus Fire Breathing is awesome if it survives, but and Charlie unfortunately misses out on some of the nice burst Amber in Mourningeate with the flex. Alright, so now it's back to Daniel. He's staring at this Tolos. He could play Tolos, fight with the Stealer, make Charlie lose 1, and that Fire Breathing would actually be really good against the Tolos. This might be a good opportunity to play it. And just rush forward. And I mean, Mourningeate, as we've seen, Daniel's original deck doesn't have a lot of options, not a lot of Amber control. So yeah, so he's playing out. He gains 1 from Stealer's Soul killing creature, and he gains 1 from Tolos. Stealer's Soul should have 5 damage on it, I believe. That's a little unfortunate.
Thought this was Lilith or something. Discard.
Tolos is elusive, so Charlie is under some pressure here. He just has a bunch of creatures that don't do a lot anymore. Exhume puts another creature out on the board here.
Check a 6, your turn.
Plays Dendrix, exhumes Gengar Chieftain here.
That's an intense check at 6 right there. Alright, let's go with
Dendrix, Gengar Chieftain fights Dendrix.
Getting rid of this, healing 3 here.
Fights Dendrix into Tolos to make Daniel lose 1. A little taken aback by his points out that alright, he need to notice that the Stealer Soul should have 5 damage on it. Dendrix makes Daniel discard 1. I thought it was going to be a little fall for some reason. Totally misread it.
I'll play Regrowth.
It's late. He's probably Charlie doesn't look too happy about that play there. Daniel is solidly in the driver's seat, but Charlie isn't check.
And I'll play the Molfin, and I'll play a Tank.
Daniel goes back into shadows. He sacks his Tolos to deal 3 damage to each of Charlie's creatures, and then old Bruno comes out.
Let's go with Untamed.
And Charlie's no longer in check. Deepwood Druid, nice. Gets the heal creature. Dendrix is a good choice here. It has the better fight effect. Gengar Chief's already done his job. Gets to regrowth something. Finds the Molfin, good choice. I haven't seen a lot of steel yet, so. And the Stealer Souls can't fight into it. The Hazard is gonna get it. So I like this a lot. Molfin's a good choice here. Daniel's in a tough spot if he wants to go back into shadows. His disc board is mediocre at best. Mighty Tiger takes care of the Molfin. There we go. There's a lot of good creature control out of Charlotte Muñoz. Out of Muñoz. So Grasping Vines returns Soul Fiddle, discards Chota. Makes sense. Hasn't found the Sting yet. It's probably not. It's probably too late for Chota to do its job, or hold on to it at least for hope for that.
One more. Then I'll play.
Charlie fights with both of his untamed creatures, trades the Deepwood Druid for.
And I'll play Murmuk, killing that.
Discard trades the Deepwood Druid for Old Bruno, punctuate equilibriums to end the turn. Breathes a sigh of relief here to see a handful of horrible disc creatures that he doesn't want to deal with anymore. I'm pretty sure there's at least one Succubus and at least one Ember Imp in there. Alright, and Charlie goes to draw some more cards. His deck is being shuffled. He's about to end his turn and trying once again to forge his first key.
Forge for 7.
Mad the Mab just keeps going up. Mustic Murmuk, interesting choice here. He needs to be racing here. I'm not sure if it's a good choice to be increasing key costs against himself at this point. I don't think that Stealer of Souls is a big threat. Unless Daniel goes with a Shadow Self this turn, then there it is. Look at Charlie. He knows what's going on with his deck. He knows how to attack its weak points. Sting comes down. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I guess the burst of 7 Amber here for Daniel is just something his deck cannot deal with. That Sting is just a death nail, essentially. Especially if it hits without warning. So, and also, Daniel doesn't have to really get rid of this thing until the Mustic Murmuk is gone. So he has a really good ability to control how much he forges for. Draining Touch kills the Umbra here. Dendrix fights. Oh, nope, Reaps. Okay. Not finished with you. Plus Exhume to gain 2 Amber. Exhume gets nothing because Charlie just shuffled. So, what does Daniel? Does Daniel just go straight back into Shadows again and Reap for 1? That sounds pretty reasonable.
Barn Raising.
Yep, he does that.
Fight.
Plays Carlo Phantom.
There.
Reaps. That ungodly amounts of Amber. Discards Bad Penny. Pops the Sting. Goes to check.
And I'll pass check at 6.
So he's... Alright, Calpine comes down. Cybernetic Reed. Gives Kinger Chieftain 3 power counters.
Yes, 2.
Can fight. Plus Fire Breath. Okay, this is a big creature here. It's not going to do too much because that Shadow Self is just going to tank all the damage. It's going to tank the 6 from. Yeah, tanks 6 damage there. Makes Daniel lose 1, and then it tanks the rest of the damage from the Kinger Chieftain. That's it. Charlie checks that 6, but he's not really in check because the Mustic Murmuk. Hopefully they catch that. And he loses the power counter here. Daniel forges for 7. Looks like I see at least 3. I feel like Daniel's probably a lot closer to forging his 3rd and final key than that, but we'll see in a second. He must have shuffled here. His deck's looking really thick, so he needs to start finding more board wipes if this game's gonna go on too much longer. So he needs to set up the save the pack, board wipe stuff again.
What game is this?
He's got a lot of time to do it.
What's changed?
Charlie can reap for 3 currently per turn with his Untamed. It sounds pretty alright to me. It's definitely faster than what Daniel has available. Wow. That's a draw back into Shadows. Get the Sting again.
Untamed.
There's a Poison Wave. Deal 2 damage to everything. Kills the Carlo Phantom. Doesn't deal a bunch of damage. Doesn't remove any creatures from Charlie's board.
So everything takes 2 times.
Did get to steal 1 off the Carlo Phantom. Pulling Charlie down to 6.
Not done. Okay, but
Here we go.
check it.
I think that's it for Daniel's turn. Charlie, what does Charlie have to do? He can... Oh, I guess he did lose the mad, so he can reap for 2 in 2 different houses. He could fight with the Calpine or the Gengar Chieftain here and clear Daniel's board. Cauldron Boil doubles the damage on every creature, so it gets rid of the Mustic.
He's making me feel like I'm fighting for something.
Gets rid of the Mustic, gets rid of all of Daniel's creatures. Puts a lot of Charlie's creatures at risk.
Fine then, let's do...
I think he missed the reap
Also,
there with
I'm
the
the one
Mustic
stressing
remote.
you.
I could be wrong.
That's dumb. Okay, let's go with Shadows. Get rid of this.
Interesting. Looks like he missed the Mustic Murmuk double.
Shouldn't have said anything, dang it.
Daniel almost folds there, thinking that Charlie's at 2 keys. He's going to check. And he's just breathing a sigh of relief here. Oops, sorry, didn't mean to move my mouse. Breathing a sigh of relief here to that he still has more time. The game's not over. He knows it's close. He knows that he's almost there. He needs like 1 or 2 more turns probably. Goes back into Shadow, pops the Sting again, and just plays 1 creature.
Where was that old broom?
So Charlie forges for 7 here, considering he still has his Mustic out.
Shouldn't have let you have it for 6. I'm so stupid.
That's all of his current Amber. Alright, Daniel passes with 2 keys and 9 Amber.
Good game.
And Charlie doesn't have any Amber control. Big surprise for that deck, minus the Mustic. So he concedes here
It would have been interesting.
and gives it to Daniel. Congratulations, Daniel, on winning round 8. Or sorry, not round 8. Essentially round 6, or the top 8 match of the GMI Prime Championships,
What do you mean? Like, what would I have
which
won
was
with?
Adaptive. It was a great game.
Probably not.
Love your strategy. I can't wait to see what you do next. And thank you everyone at home watching. I hope you enjoyed this. Please let me know if there's something I could be doing better, some more information you'd like to see. Also, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe buttons to let you know when the next round comes out. With that, thank you and good night.